Welcome, everybody. Some of you, most of you recognize this picture by now. And today, Team Matchpoint would like to share with you, for the final time, new entry pathways for healthcare innovations in Region Stockholm. And the team that presents this today with me consists of Shara.
Hey, everybody.
And Malin.
Hello.
And myself. And the challenge we work towards solving is how do we make the matchmaking process between small external innovators and internal actors at the Region Stockholm innovation simple, easily accessible, and mutually fulfilling through a digital tool. And we went about solving this by the use of the design thinking process, as Jens talked about. It has been the basis that our work has revolved around. And 4 months ago, we started up in the empathy part of the diamond. The team focused on understanding the hows and the whys of our challenge and the different perspectives it has. We then took what we learned through the empathy phase and reframed our challenge in the define phase. After this, we ideated, tried to come up with some solutions and crazy ideas, and some of those crazy ideas we turned into prototypes. Prototypes that we later put to the test. And this little figure here will travel with us during the presentation so that you understand where in the process we are at a specific moment. So let's kick things off with our stakeholder groups. And those are clinicians, of course, in the hospitals, the professional actually working with treating patients. We also have their managers who also play an important part in this. And then we have innovation leaders. Innovation leaders are individuals working in the innovation departments in the different hospitals in Region Stockholm. And we also have two other stakeholder groups. To your left, we start off with the external innovating companies, one stakeholder who needs better entry pathways. We also have our challenge giver, Region Stockholm Innovation, here portrayed in the middle with the bigger hospitals and their different innovation departments surrounding them. And those are the stakeholders. And we'd also like to share with you the current entry pathways for innovation. And it follows mainly two kind of main paths. We start with the older way of doing it. In this case, an external company used their own personal contacts to get a hold of possible interested clinicians in the hospitals to possibly kick off a project. The other, a little bit newer way of doing it, is using the entry form on Region Stockholm Innovation's webpage. They in turn take that application to the different innovation leaders in the different innovation departments, who then reach out in their own local network to see if there is any interest. And if there is, a project then can possibly start. And there are, of course, pros and cons with this process. If we start with the personal network side of it, well, personal contacts tend to engage more. But we have some cons, and that there's no good overview since some projects start without enough involvement from innovation leaders. And there's a risk of poor agreements if innovation departments and innovation leaders are not involved as much as they should be. If we instead use the form of the web page, well, we have a better overview and control of projects, but at the same time, we also have external companies having an actual difficulty finding the entry form. Local innovation leaders in turn have also a difficulty finding interested employees, and external companies getting quite poor feedback. And we have solutions for all these issues, I promise you. And we will get to those. But first, we would like to remind you of another part of the definition phase, and that is the research and the personas. The research we've made, well, it's a lot. And we made it primarily through the usage of semi-structured interviews. We would have liked to do observations as well, but hanging out in a hospital the last year is not a perfect idea. So in total, we interviewed 7 companies, 6 innovation leaders, 2 clinicians, and 2 managers. And all this resulted in the creation of the 4 personas you see on this slide. These personas are fictional characters based on the interviews. And these 4 personas and their current issues with the existing process is what we've worked towards solving. And now we'll come back to that solutions part of the process. Shara, please.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. So on behalf of the course, after the first double diamond, we had the 4 solution concepts, quite preliminary ones, but interesting ones. The first one is called InnoMatch, which draws inspiration from Tinder in a sense that it is focused on quick yes or no decision making from the side of the healthcare employees on the innovations uploaded by innovators to the application or website. The second solution concept was centered around an interactive web page similar to Verksam.se, which could function as a basic knowledge base and guide for innovators as well, tailoring them to the specific department they have business with, depending on the current state of the innovation. This will reduce time spent or time wasted on educating these innovators from the side of innovation leaders and Stockholm region innovation, who then in turn could spend more resources and time on actual matchmaking. The third solution concept was that of an event-based match and work with dedicated focuses for a given period of time. The concept suggests to divide the year into cycles, for example, for 3 months long focus periods, pointing to different healthcare system focuses. Every cycle could start up with a kickoff event to foster personal connections, which Doug has highlighted already. Plus, having these cycles with focuses could help innovations to be structured and healthcare employees' time and attention who work within that focus area to be tailored towards innovation for that given period. The last and the fourth solution proposes a social network dedicated for healthcare innovations specifically. Here, the initially interested healthcare professionals could self-register and choose from the innovations for themselves, which were uploaded by the innovators. So instead of healthcare professionals being dependent on getting approached in the first place, here they can also have the possibility to self-initiate a project by publishing the needs that they feel to be present in the healthcare system. Of course, there are much more to these solutions than what has been shared now, so we are happy to discuss them further after the presentation if there's interest. But to narrow down our focus and decide on with which ideas to progress with, we firstly thought through how our stakeholder groups or personas will be impacted by the implementation of each of these ideas. So for that reason, we evaluated all 4 solutions based on their probable impact. But as these had quite vastly different impact areas and processes as well, we also carried out an evaluation based on the matrix technique learned in this course. So we chose and weighted criteria subjectively along with which we evaluated all 4 of them. Here, solution number 1 in InnoMatch came out with the highest ranking, but we also had a discussion with our challenge giver about this selection, and they were quite keen on continuing with the social network as well. So the group was happy to do so, and we did so for the upcoming steps. But in the end, we performed 2 SWOT analyses for InnoMatch and social network as well. And for the final steps, we progressed only with InnoMatch, the main reason being its time efficiency for healthcare employees, which constitutes a very valuable resource in this challenge. And now a few slides about InnoMatch, more in details. Firstly, about the process behind it. Quite similar to the current processes, an external company has to submit an innovation firstly, and Region Stockholm Innovation has to make a quality check, ensuring that it is not something totally irrelevant, but really an innovation proposal. At the same time, the local innovation leaders as well have to have a view on this application to ensure that it is something the hospital can actually have interests in, for example, not something they already have. Upon approval, the project application becomes visible to self-registered healthcare employees who can get a notification and or an email as well that a new innovation relevant for them is available now. Whether an innovation is relevant can be judged based on a proposed keyword system covering the main medical fields, management and support areas. If a match is established, the manager of the healthcare employee gets a notification again so that he or she can approve and decide on the availability of the employee for innovation purposes. And if everything is settled, the local innovation leader is invited to ensure settlements and agreements and IP rights and everything legal so that the project can start. Of course, if an innovation would come in which is already ready, then they can just direct it, they can get directed straight to procurement, skipping a few steps. And we also have prepared a prototype to make the concept of InnoMatch easier to grasp. And I will be happy to show you if I can take over the screen sharing. Thank you, Doug. So we have a very quick introduction page for InnoMatch describing the details and the intentions of the site, and on the very same page, a new user can quickly register. But if somebody is already registered, they can go straight to matching, wasting no time. We have two views of innovation proposals. The first one is having one innovation on a page with a short description, the keywords, and the needs stated by the company. Let's say I'm interested in this innovation based on this short description, and I can easily get more information customizable by the innovators. If I wouldn't be interested, but I would know somebody from my network who could, I can easily share this idea with them. So we can also utilize the personal network of healthcare employees currently not really used. But let's say I'm interested, I can share my contact information with the company, who then in turn can get back to me. And I can just keep on matching, looking for other interesting ideas. But in case, for example, I'm not interested in this VR treatment of depression, I can click on not interested and very quickly indicate why I'm not so keen on joining this project. Of course, it's a quite short feedback, but will be very much appreciated by innovators, as we came to know during the interviews. And I can just keep on matching. As said, we have another view listing all applications at one page. Both of them have advantages and disadvantages and should be tested laterwards upon implementation. Another quick view, just ensuring that any decision is not set in stone. I can go back and edit my answers as well, so it's not so much pressure. And the last page I will talk quickly about is that of the healthcare needs mentioned earlier in connection with the social network. Here as well, employees can add new needs they are feel to be burning and pressing within the healthcare system. And this would provide insights into innovating companies who then in turn could spend their resources and time on actual needs instead of just guessing what would be nice to have within the healthcare system. And of course, this prototype has a view from the perspective of innovating companies as well. So I pass it on to Malin to tell you a little bit more about that.
Yes, hello. Now you see the screen, I hope, with the perspective from the innovating company. So here you click here and you go in and register, and you fill in your details. And an important area that you fill in is the area of your innovation, and it's we have structured them in different structure here. So what kind of medical field you will innovate within, or if it's within the management and or the other support functions within the hospital. And then there are a lot, you can describe it in detail. We also have for the this innovating company showing the process in a short way. There will be possibilities to get further information, but here you see the process. And it's important that it always ends with open procurement, so they understand that before getting into these projects. And the function is also that they can see where they are at the moment in the process. So here it's an example that here it's the application is approved and now it's published for the healthcare employees. And then, as we said, it's important for them to get collected feedback. And here they can have a view on how many that viewed their application, innovation, the ones that are interested and the ones that are not interested. So then they can go in and have a feedback page regarding their projects. And as already mentioned, this healthcare needs, that is the so-called pull innovation process where they can see the needs from inside, so they know what they can innovate about. And then I'm going to go back to the presentation. Yes, this solution that I just showed, or we showed, we have showed it to and tested it on 7 users, and they are from these different stakeholder groups. And it's both qualitative interviews as well as a questionnaire. And we have summarized the benefits that we foresee with this solution. And then we start with the manager, and the manager will, if this is used correctly, be introduced to more innovations. And since the idea is that the external company will pay for this participation, the budget will get affected in a positive way. The manager will also have a good control of the process and the decided projects, both regarding the innovation projects, but also regarding new already developed products that will go through to procurement. And also we are suggesting a kind of, since it's both the manager and the clinicians that will get possibilities to match, it's a good way of collaboration. And then we have the benefits for the clinician, and it's so important that this will be an effective, time-consuming tool for them. It must be easy to use, and it also has to have a balanced interaction. So it's important to find they should use it, but not all the time. So the notification must be set in a good way, and it's also very important that it's relevant for the clinicians, since we know that if they are involved in something they are interested in, then they are really engaged. And it's good that they are part of the decision making, what innovation projects that they can use, because they have a really good know-how within their fields, and also the engagement. So if they can publish needs, that will also increase the engagement. And now we talk about benefits for the innovation leaders, and there are many, and the idea is that this should help them to get hold of healthcare employees and absolutely get a better monitoring of ongoing projects. So it's a good overview and the possibility to interact. And again, this pool innovation that has been mentioned hopefully will lead to better innovations, and also less explaining to the innovators. So if they get all the information on this solution, they don't have to spend that much time on that, as well as they can, with these already developed products, they can go through this system and go to procurement. That will get valuable feedback. And so this is a bit of a repetition but from the innovator side, so that they will get more easier contact, they will get better information about the process and more feedback from the clinician, and also to learn about the healthcare needs. So we sum up this. I mean, now it sounds so perfect, this with all the benefits, but it's so important that it will be used by all these stakeholder groups. But this is hopefully implemented by Region Stockholm, and if that happens, this is a suggestion of implementation plan. Start with the legal ensurement, and then development of the InnoMatch solution further, and then we have to start with, as we learned, with a procurement to find this company, and absolutely have this larger pilot test to understand this even more. And again, this marketing or spreading the information about that this exists, because it's, if this shall be this as good as we explained and what we think, people need to know, and the manager have to understand that it can be a good tool as well. So thank you a lot for listening, and thank you all for the support in this process.